one of the greatest leaders in ancient Rome was Julius Caesar. Not only was he a great army general, but also he was an inventor. He was one of the first people to use secret codes to pass messages to people elsewhere. And he had a very simple system. He said, let's take the alphabet and then carefully shift each letter along just one space. Now, if we have a secret message to send, for example, if we have the words big dog, instead of using the actual letters of those words, we use the shifted letters. So instead of using a B, we come along to the first alphabet. Where's B? There it is along there, and we use the letter directly underneath it. We use an A. There we are. Now instead of an I, we come along to I, we drop down, and we use an H. And the G becomes F, the D becomes C, the O becomes N, and the G becomes F. And so the words now read RCNF, which doesn't mean a thing unless you happen to know that the letters have been shifted by one space. Julius Caesar said you don't always have to shift them by one space. On some days you might shift them 2 spaces, so you have a third alphabet here. Now what do the words big dog become now? Well, you start with the B in the top line and you drop down 2 spaces. Wait a minute, we don't have anything there at all. Can you guess how he filled up these spaces? You're right, he went to the other end of the alphabet and put the Z and the Y and Z there. Okay, so now the B becomes Z, and the I becomes G, the G becomes E, the D becomes B, the O is an M, and the G becomes E again. And the words read Zagi Bami. And this time you can only decode it if you know that the shift has been 2 spaces. I wonder how you would go if you happened to intercept one of Julius Caesar's messages and you were given the task of working out what it means. Let's say, for example, that you end up finding this word, A-Y-Z-Z-Y-E-C. Asiac. Doesn't mean anything, does it? But if you're systematic about it, you can find out the number of shifts that he's used. It could be 1 space, it could be 2 spaces, 3 spaces, or even 25 or 26 spaces. But you'll have to tackle it systematically. Let's try by shifting the letters, first of all, 1 space to the right. So the A becomes the next letter in the alphabet, B. The Y becomes Z, the Z. Go back to the other end of the alphabet. That's A, and that's A as well. The Y becomes Z again. The E becomes F, and the C becomes D. You look at that, and it says bizarre. It doesn't say anything that means anything at all. So you just systematically and steadily go on to the next one. B, what comes after B? C. What comes after Z? Back to the beginning of the alphabet, it's an A. What comes after A? B, B. After Z, A again. After F, G, and after D, E. That looks more like a word, doesn't it? Cabbage. And you've probably solved that part of the code. That's all very well, but you may have had to do this 25 or 26 times. It depended on how many shifts Caesar decided to build into his code. Others later on made it even more complicated by shifting the letters different spaces in different words, and they became very complex codes. Well, you know all about the alphabet, don't you? And you're very familiar with the 26 letters. Have a look at these letters and see if you can work out which one is missing.